Listening Practice Test. Please turn to Section 1 of Listening Practice Test. Section 1. Listen to the conversation between a Japanese student and a housing officer and complete the form. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example which has been done for you. The conversation relating to this will be played first.
Yes, what can I do for you?
My friend is in a homestay and she really enjoys it, so I'd like to join a family as well.
Okay, let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Yoichini.
Could you spell your family name for me, please?
Yes, it's Yoichini. That's Yuichini.
The student's family name is Yuichini, so that has been written on the form. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Yes, what can I do for you?
My friend is in a homestay and she really enjoys it, so I'd like to join a family as well.
Okay, let me get some details. What's your name?
My name is Keiko Yoichini.
Could you spell your family name for me, please?
Yes, it's Yoichini. That's Yuichini.
And your first name?
It's Keiko. Keiko.
That's Keiko Yuichini. Okay. And you're female. And your nationality?
I'm Japanese.
Right. And could I see your passport, please?
Here it is.
Okay, your passport number is JO6337. And you are how old?
I'm 28 years old.
Now you're living in one of the colleges. Which one?
Willow College, Rome 21C.
Right, 21C, Willow College. And how long are you planning to stay with Homestay?
About 4 months, longer if I like it.
And what course are you enrolled in?
Well, I've enrolled for 20 weeks in the Advanced English Studies because I need help with my writing, and I'm nearly at the end of my first 5-week course.
Right, so you've completed 5 weeks and you have enrolled for another 15 weeks. That's about 4 months altogether.
That's right, about 4 months.
Before they continue their conversation, look at questions 6 to 10. As you listen to the rest of the conversation, complete the form by filling in the numbered spaces 6 to 10.
Okay. Do you have a preference for a family with children or without children?
I like young children, but I like to be with older people. You know, I like someone of my own age.
Okay. And do you smoke or drink?
No and no.
Would you mind being with a family of smokers?
Yes, I would. I don't like smoking. I'd rather be with a family of people who do not smoke or drink.
Okay, and what about pets?
Oh, I love animals. I'm a veterinarian, so that's fine. The more the better.
All right. Now what about you? Are you a vegetarian or do you have any special food requirements?
No, I'm not a vegetarian, but I don't eat a lot of meat. I really like seafood.
And what about your hobbies?
I like reading and going to the movies.
Do you play any sports?
Yes, I joined the handball team, but I didn't like that, so I stopped playing. You know, I played tennis on the weekend with my friends.
All right, let's see. Name, age, transport. Are you familiar with the public transport system?
No, I'm not really, because I've been living on campus. I've been to the city a few times on the bus, but they're always late.
What about the trains?
I like catching trains. They're much faster.
Well, let's go and check on the computer to see what I've got. Listen, would it be okay to leave this with me? Could you come back after class this afternoon?
Yes, of course.
I'll check my records and I will give you details this afternoon.
Thank you for your help.
It's a pleasure. I'll see you this afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 2. You are going to hear a talk given by a tour guide about travel to Esnia. First look at questions 11 to 14. As you listen to the first part of the talk, answer questions 11 to 14.
Hello everyone. As you know, this agency has specialized in tours and independent travel to Esnia for over 20 years. It's a magnificent place to visit, but it's not always as easy or as comfortable as it might be. So this tour is designed to help you handle the bureaucratic hassles and give you time and energy to enjoy the beauty of this breathtaking country. The first hassle is visas. Nowadays, Esnian visas are needed by almost all nationalities. The normal visa lasts for just 90 days, but a renewal is possible. It is worth leaving yourself plenty of time when applying, or I suggest, from experience, 2 months. That should do it. The latest confirmed price is £30, but it should be noted, and a lot of our regular travellers tell us that the price may change without notice and hold up visa processing. So ring up the Esnian embassy and check the price before sending out forms. Now, for those of you who are intending to take Esnia as part of a longer tour and want to wait till you get to another country, do remember that some Esnian consulates in neighbouring countries require you to provide a letter from your own embassy, just to confirm your nationality. You can find a list of major embassies throughout the world in the student handbook on page 13. Oh, and one more thing. Check whether you need a multiple entry visa if you're leaving and re-entering Esnia on your tour.
Before the talk continues, you will have a chance to look at questions 15 to 20. As you listen, complete the summary and answer questions 15 to 20.
Now, some miscellaneous general advice. Firstly, if you're rich enough to bring in over $1,000 in cash or traveller's checks to Esnia, you need to fill in the currency form. Don't forget this. You could get into trouble if you do. You must declare all of your items and more expensive items, such as video cameras, on the tourist export form, which you can arrange to carry in advance. Regarding health regulations, although Esnia is becoming a generally healthier country with every passing year, neighbouring countries remain cautious with regards to health standards there, and therefore it is worthwhile carrying a health certificate. The one you need is the BM276. Now all of you here are students, and there will be plenty of concessions for young people travelling in Esnia. The Esnian Transport Authority, for example, issues a special youth fare card which you can get in any railway station. Just show your international student card. Information about getting this is in the handbook, and give 2 passport photos. And by the way, because there is so much bureaucracy in Esnia, we advise you to take at least 12 passport photos with you. They're not always easy to get done there. Finally, a bit more about currency. Pounds won't get you very far in Esnia these days, so they're no good. We advise people to carry either yen or Australian dollars. US dollars are starting to cause difficulties because of political disputes. Another surprise is that credit cards are virtually useless because of fraud scandals. Do carry traveller's checks, but we advise medium denominations. Large denominations increase the likelihood of theft, and small ones increase commission charges. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this student handbook has a wealth of information.
That is the end of section 2. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 3. In this section, you will hear a discussion about shopping habits. First look at questions 21 to 24. As you listen to the first part of the discussion, answer questions 21 to 24.
Excuse me. I wonder if you'd mind answering a few questions. You see, I'm doing a project.
Fine, what's this on?
Well, I'm looking at the people's shopping habits.
Okay.
Can I ask you, first of all, are you a student?
Well, I was a student here last year, but since then I've left, and I'm working in a bank now as a cashier. I just came to see a friend.
Oh, that's okay. So how often do you go shopping?
Oh, I buy a lot of books. Should I exclude books?
Oh, if you leave books aside, what about shopping for all of your personal items, study things, and that sort of thing?
Okay, because I go to the supermarket almost every day, it seems the other things, I'd say, I tend to do it every other week.
And do you spend the same amount each time?
I guess so. I only have about £100 a month spare, so I'd probably spend about £50 each time.
What sort of shops do you like best? The department store or the small retail outlets?
Oh, I like big department stores, so everything's in one place. The weather's so bad, so it's a bit miserable trudging from one little shop to another.
Great. What do you find most difficult to buy?
What do you mean?
Well, what do you have to really search for? What takes you a long time to find?
Oh, jeans, definitely. You can get hold of a sweater or a CD in a moment, but with jeans I can spend all afternoon and still not find a pair that fits.
Okay, one last question. Who do you usually shop with?
Now, I usually go shopping on my own, but if I want to make it more of a social occasion with friends to have a coffee and things, I often go with colleagues from work, in our lunch hour.
Well, thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
No problem.
Before the next part begins, you will have a chance to look at questions 25 to 30. As you listen, answer questions 25 to 30.
Hello, Dale. How did you get on with your shopping inquiries?
Well, I got 50 people to answer questions, and the results were quite interesting.
OK, let's have a look.
Well, those were handouts, and here you can see that the majority of people I interviewed said they went shopping once a week. Most often, that was the weekend.
Right.
For those people who spend enormous amounts of money, if you see this chart, you can see that half the people spend £45 a month, and while 15% of people spend more than that, an average of £75, the rest spend relatively small amounts. Even the regular shoppers spend no more than £20 a month.
Window shoppers?
Yes, I asked them what kinds of shops they prefer, and the response was unanimous. Everyone went for department stores. I think that's what young people today want.
That's understandable, and that's a useful statistic, I think.
I also talked to them about the things they found most difficult to buy. I thought the answer was going to be something like books or study materials, but it's always clothes. They have problems with things related to hobbies. As far as sportswear is concerned, they complain about the lack of shops that sell it. Not many had trouble buying sweaters and things like that, but shoes and trousers were really problematic.
Was that, again, because there just isn't enough variety?
Yes, they say everywhere they just come across the same styles, so they just give up after a while.
I know what they mean.
Lastly, I asked them whom they want to shop with.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
You will hear Now turn to section 3. Section 3. You will hear two students talking about a school project. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Hi, Lynn. How's your project coming along?
Oh, not very well. I've got all the information, but I can't seem to organise it into a presentation.
Well, you'd better hurry. You only have one more week.
Yes, that's okay. It's just that...
Well, why don't you try your presentation on me? Maybe I can help.
Oh, really? Great! Okay, well, I've chosen solar power for my subject, and I'm going to talk specifically about domestic water heating. You know, like the ones popular in America. I've got some facts here.
Oh, that's good. But just start your presentation from the beginning.
Oh, right. Well, here we go then. There are many reasons why we should be looking elsewhere for energy sources. As most people are aware, fossil fuels and other such non-renewable sources are by definition finite, so something needs to be in operation soon. Currently, there are a number of alternative energy sources available which can, with a little preparation, be used to provide for a significant part of our domestic energy requirements. In this presentation, I am focusing on solar power and its application as a domestic water heater. As a renewable energy source, solar power is in many ways ideal. The amount of the sun's energy which reaches the Earth every minute exceeds the energy that the global population consumes in a year. Although scientists argue that it is not finite, sunlight is certainly a long-lasting resource which is not depleted through use, and solar power converters use this energy without needing any complex moving parts. Once collected and stored, solar energy can be used for many purposes, but it is becoming increasingly popular as a domestic heating source. Generally, a building that is heated by solar power will have its water heated by solar power as well, and this has even worked in areas that are not exposed to long hours of direct sunlight, such as the United Kingdom, although not so well as in warmer climates.
Why have you stopped?
Well, that's all I've got so far.
Oh, well. Start by talking about how effective it is.
Oh, okay. Well, there are a number of factors that influence how efficient solar power can be. The first, obviously, is the amount of sunlight, and this is dependent on season, time of day, and climate. Although the UK has something of a bad reputation for sunshine, it is actually quite productive during some parts of the year. Given a sufficient size of solar panel and water storage tank, solar power can provide all of our water heating requirements in June and July, and even provide the majority until October. From October to the end of the year, this figure falls dramatically. December is the least productive, being able to supply less than 5% of the average household's hot water requirement. It is at this point that solar power needs to be supplemented with a more traditional form of heating. From January, solar power becomes more effective at a rate of about 20% per month, although this rise decelerates to around 18% by May.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Now say something about this water heater. Do you have any information about that?
Oh yes, I've got an illustration of a water tank here.
Well, that's good, but you'll have to describe it.
Right. Well, the ideal water tank in the UK has a capacity of 45 to 50 litres, but must be at least 40 litres to be effective. The solar coil is put in the bottom of the tank to heat the water. Now remember that solar heated water will not get quite as hot as fossil fuel water heaters. The bottom half of the tank is normally 20 degrees, and this is why it is important not to have a tank that is too large, as that would take too much energy to heat. In this illustration it rises to 40 degrees from halfway up. Don't forget that hot water rises, so the top third of the tank is the hottest and reaches an average temperature of 65 degrees.
And what's this second layer around the tank?
Oh, that's insulation. Because the tank is often either outside or just under the roof, rigid foam is used as an insulation layer. It should be at least 80 millimetres thick all around.
Well, that seems like a good presentation. All you need to do is to prepare some short notes and a larger illustration so you can use it as a demonstration and you'll be fine.
Oh, you think so? Well, thanks very much for the help. Maybe I could do the same for you one day.
Maybe. Anyway, I have to go. Good luck.
Thanks. Bye.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 4. Section 4. You will hear an interview with a marketing director. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 31 to 34.
Continuing our theme of business marketing, I have with me today Mr. Brian Kinsella, who is here to talk about the differences between marketing a product and marketing a service.
Good morning. Now I understand that many of you here today are interested in a career in services marketing. Well, I've been the marketing director for Oceania Travel for nearly 11 years, so I feel that I can present what I consider to be the most important aspects of marketing a service. However, before I begin, I want to clarify what I mean by services marketing. This not only means aspects like holiday destinations, but also professional services such as legal advice. In short, anyone that sells a service. Actually, a lot of the traditional services such as lawyers, accountants, etc. have not felt too comfortable marketing their services. It's almost perceived in industries such as these that the need to market indicates a weakness in the services provided. However, more and more such industries are realizing the importance of marketing to sustain their customer numbers, especially when their competitors are marketing themselves. Now, the main difference between marketing a product and a service is that the customers cannot understand exactly what the service will be. They can see a product and can comprehend exactly what the product will do for them. A service is more intangible. By that, I mean whatever each customer gains from the service is often very personal. For example, with a travel agency, clients choose to travel abroad for a multitude of motives. Some people travel overseas for the experience and really want to get to know the culture of the local people. Others wish to escape from reality, totally relax in sophisticated comfort, and be waited on hand and foot. Obviously, our clients will not be judging what we offer by the same standards, and travel agents, like other such service industries, have an extremely difficult job in satisfying a range of customers from diverse backgrounds with different expectations. Our company has overcome this dilemma in a number of ways. First of all, our travel consultants are given extensive training in customer service and buyer behavior. Our aim is not just to be a profit-making organization, but also to meet and exceed the expectations or dreams of our clients. Our mission statement, in fact, is primarily to offer a service which is above and beyond the hopes of our clients. In addition, we regularly visit the tourist destinations we promote and inform all of our staff about any changes in specific areas. Not only is it important to be fully informed about every possible aspect of the service you are marketing, it is also essential to constantly improve the service offered. At Oceania Travel, we regularly conduct surveys with all of the people that visit our resorts of choice. Any negative feedback we try to remedy at once. Our clients are met by a company representative during their stay, and we have a set procedure for dealing with any complaints. Our clients are not expected to have to approach the hotel reception, as we have a 24-hour contact service direct to our representatives, and this representative should always welcome any customer problems or questions. In the event of a complaint, the representative will then try to remedy the complaint with the hotel. If the problem cannot be rectified by the hotel manager, our representative is authorized to remedy the situation him or herself. For situations beyond the representative's authority, our complaints department is contacted. The complaints department guarantees a solution within the day. If the customer is still not satisfied, they are welcome to approach our head office on their return. So you see that marketing a service is catering more for the client's expectations than anything else, and it is that which makes services marketing a very intricate business. Now that's the end of my presentation, but if there is anything you want to ask, then please feel free to do so. Thank you.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. You will hear a number of different recordings. You will have time to read the questions before each recording and time at the end of each recording to check your answers. The recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. Now turn to section 1. Section 1, You will hear a conversation between a customer and a receptionist at a car rental agency. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning. How can I help you?
Hello, is this Southern Rental Car?
Yes, it is.
I wonder if you could help me. I'm ringing from Nelson, but I'm coming over to Auckland for 12 days and I'd like to hire a car.
Okay, I'll fill in a booking for you now. First, can I take your name?
Yes, it's William Waddell.
Sorry, could you spell your surname?
Yes, it's Waddell.
Thanks. Now, can I have an address and phone number?
Sure. I live at 10 Robin Place. That's Robyn Place.
And that's Nelson, isn't it?
That's right. Do you want my home number or my mobile?
Home number will be fine.
Okay, it's 07 263 8666.
Great. Now, can I also have a credit card number?
Do I have to pay by credit card?
Well, we need a credit card number as a guarantee. It's a standard policy for car rentals.
Okay, well, I'll pay by Visa then. The card number is 4550-1392-8309-3221.
And the expiry date?
Sorry?
Your card, when does it expire?
Oh, next July.
Right. Now, how long did you want the car for? 12 days, did you say?
No, I only need a car for 10 days, from the 2nd to the 11th of next month.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you will have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
Now, what type of car are you looking to hire?
Well, I'm not too worried about the model of the car, but I understand that you have rental cars from just $25 a day. Is that correct?
We do sometimes have the $25 deals, but only in the low season. For the period you are looking at, the cheapest we have is $35. However, that price includes unlimited kilometres.
Sorry, did you say unlimited kilometres? What does that mean exactly?
That means that no matter how far you go, the cost is the same. Some companies charge for rental and then charge again for every kilometre you actually drive.
Well, I am going to be travelling quite long distances. I'm visiting relatives and they live quite far apart from each other. So unlimited kilometres are probably a good idea.
If you're travelling long distances, you would be better off with an automatic. Changing gears in a manual can make it more expensive on petrol.
Okay, I'll take the automatic then.
Right. So that's an automatic car for 10 days from the 2nd to the 11th. That's all booked. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's fine. Oh, sorry, what do I need to bring with me when I pick up the car?
All you need is your driving licence.
Right, well, thanks very much. Bye.
That is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to Section 2. Section 2. You will hear someone talking about travelling around New Zealand. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 15. Now listen and answer questions 11 to 15.
When thinking about beautiful countryside or stunning views, it has long been accepted that Australia and New Zealand have few equals. What is perhaps slightly less well known is what these countries can offer to the avid train enthusiast. Both countries have railways which pass through breathtaking scenery in the utmost of comfort. In New Zealand, you can travel from the country's biggest city, Auckland, to where a third of the population lives, its capital, Wellington, on the longest passenger rail service in the country, the Overlander. Crossing 681 kilometres, the train winds through the lush farmland of the Waikato and up the Raurumu spiral onto an amazing volcanic plateau surrounded by native bush. On a clear day, you will be able to see three of New Zealand's most famous volcanoes, Mount Ruapehu, Mount Narahoi and Mount Tongariro. The whole journey can be completed in 11 hours, but for those keen to see a little more of the country, the trip can be extended over 3 or 4 days. This gives travellers the opportunity of seeing the famous Waitomo caves, relaxing in the mud pools of Rotorua, or skydiving over Lake Taupo. Moving on to the South Island, you can take the Transalpine through the Southern Alps, travelling from the South Pacific Ocean to the Tasman Sea. Climbing from Christchurch right into the Alps, this 223-kilometre trip is particularly impressive as the train passes through 16 tunnels before descending to Greymouth at the end of the line. Taking only 5 hours, this is a relatively short trip, but it is worth noting that this journey has been listed as the 6th most scenic rail route in the world. For those that are not so keen on mountains, the South Island has a second option, the Trans-Coastal. With the sea on one side and the mountains on the other, it again shows some of the best scenery New Zealand has to offer. Also taking 5 hours, one of the highlights of this journey is the opportunities for whale watching. The fortunate few that see whales are well rewarded, but there are more common sights which are just as enjoyable, such as penguins and seals.
Before you hear the rest of the recording, you have some time to look at questions 16 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Although these 3 train journeys are undeniably breathtaking, some travellers prefer the longer journeys on offer in Australia. The Indian Pacific, for example, which travels from Sydney through to Perth and has been dubbed the adventure that spans Australia. With 3 nights on board, the train takes in the Blue Mountains and the Nullarbor Plains, and, as the name implies, the Indian Pacific shows you 2 oceans. This train journey holds 2 world records. Covering 4,352 kilometres, it is one of the world's longest train journeys. It also travels the world's longest straight stretch of railway track, 478 kilometres. For those who find these distances a little daunting, passengers can stretch their legs at a number of different stops, such as Kalgoorlie, famous for gold, and Broken Hill, first founded as a silver mine. If 3 days on board a train seems a little excessive, there are alternatives. The Garn, for example, which travels from Adelaide in the south to Alice Springs in the centre of the continent, taking 20 hours. Passing through Crystal Brook, Port Augusta and Woomera, this journey gives an indication of what life was like for the earlier settlers as they discovered the country. Along the way, you can also see the Iron Man sculpture, which was constructed by railway workers to commemorate the 1 millionth concrete sleeper laid during the construction of the line. Finally, just a quick word about the Overland, which runs between Melbourne and Adelaide. As the first train to travel between the capitals of 2 states, it is a historic as well as relaxing way to travel, and is famous for being the oldest long-distance train journey on the continent. With so many memorable journeys to choose from, the only problem you will have is knowing which one to do first.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now, as I mentioned earlier, this student handbook has
left, and I'm working in.
As you listen to the first part of the discussion, answer questions 21 to 24.
Excuse me, I wonder if you'd mind answering a few questions. You see, I'm doing a project.
Fine, what's this on?
Well, I'm looking at the people's shopping habits.
Okay.
Can I ask you, first of all, are you a student?
Well, I was a student here last year, but since then I've left, and I'm working in a bank now as a cashier. I just came to see a friend.
Oh, that's okay. So how often do you go shopping?
Oh, I buy a lot of books. Should I exclude books?
Oh, if you leave books aside, what about shopping for all of your personal items, study things, and that sort of thing?
Okay, because I go to the supermarket almost every day, it seems the other things, I'd say, I tend to do it every other week.
And do you spend the same amount each time?
I guess so. I only have about £100 a month spare, so I'd probably spend about £50 each time.
What sort of shops do you like best? The department store or the small retail outlets?
Oh, I like big department stores, so everything's in one place. The weather's so bad, so it's a bit miserable trudging from one little shop to another.
Great. What do you find most difficult to buy?
What do you mean?
Well, what do you have to really search for? What takes you a long time to find?
Oh, jeans, definitely. You can get hold of a sweater or a CD in a moment, but with jeans I can spend all afternoon and still not find a pair that fits.
Okay, one last question. Who do you usually shop with?
Now, I usually go shopping on my own, but if I want to make it more of a social occasion with friends to have a coffee and things, I often go with colleagues from work, in our lunch hour.
Well, thank you very much. You've been very helpful.
No problem.
Before the next part begins, you will have a chance to look at questions 25 to 30. As you listen, answer questions 25 to 30.
Hello, Dale. How did you get on with your shopping inquiries?
Well, I got 50 people to answer questions, and the results were quite interesting.
OK, let's have a look.
Well, those were handouts, and here you can see that the majority of people I interviewed said they went shopping once a week. Most often, that was the weekend.
Right.
For those people who spend enormous amounts of money, if you see this chart, you can see that half the people spend £45 a month, and while 15% of people spend more than that, an average of £75, the rest spend relatively small amounts. Even the regular shoppers spend no more than £20 a month.
Window shoppers?
Yes, I asked them what kinds of shops they prefer, and the response was unanimous. Everyone went for department stores. I think that's what young people today want.
That's understandable, and that's a useful statistic, I think.
I also talked to them about the things they found most difficult to buy. I thought the answer was going to be something like books or study materials, but it's always clothes. They have problems with things related to hobbies. As far as sportswear is concerned, they complain about the lack of shops that sell it. Not many have trouble buying sweaters and things like that, but shoes and trousers were really problematic.
Was that, again, because there just isn't enough variety?
Yes, they say everywhere they just come across the same styles, so they just give up after a while.
I know what they mean.
Lastly, I asked them whom they want to shop with.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers. Section 4. In this section, you will hear a lecture about study and answer questions 31 to 40. First look at questions 31 to 40. As you listen to the lecture, answer questions 31 to 40.
Can anybody hear me? Is this microphone working? Good. Now, welcome everybody to the second of these lectures on successful study at college. Yesterday we looked at housekeeping issues, where to find information, how to use the library computer system, and so on. Today we're going to cover an issue that will be vitally important to you all throughout your time here at college, and that is time management. Hundreds of books have been written about time management, and those of you who are interested in doing some extra reading on the subject are very welcome to see me after the lecture, as I have a book list here and some other useful materials. Now, time management. In the past, this used to mean making a list to plan for every hour of the week and then try to stick to this plan. These days, however, the whole idea of managing time has changed. In fact, if you think about it, you'll find that it's impossible to manage time. It just goes. So what you really need to manage is yourself. To manage yourself effectively, you need to have a clear idea both of what you want to achieve and how to achieve it. In other words, you need to set goals, and you need to move towards achieving these goals in an efficient and systematic way. Most coursework at the college is set by mid-semester, and at the end of the semester usually involves 2 written assignments of between 1,500 and 3,000 words in length. If you look around you at college, you will see that during the first weeks of the term, everyone looks cheerful and focused, followed by a change around week 6, assignment time, when people start to look a bit stressed. The library reports that an increasing number of students become angry when books are not available. So what's happened? Has everybody become suddenly irritable and angry for no reason? Not quite. The reason is that people have not managed their resources well. They have not set priorities for reaching their goals and, as a result, some of them realise they are going to do badly with their assignments. This will not be because they lack intelligence or love of the subject. They will fail because they did not have a clear idea of what they have to do and how long it should take them. Let's step back a minute. What do we mean by establishing goals? Well, basically, it means deciding what you want to achieve. In other words, deciding on the results that you want to achieve. The students that I've mentioned found themselves very stressed, mainly because they have an assignment to do. But they did not fully think through the effect that this would have on their day-to-day life. There's an awful lot of spare time in a day. For example, if you manage to spend some of that time, even just 1 hour, on an activity that helps you with your study, that 1 hour could have a major impact in your course, particularly if you make it a regular habit. I'd like to ask you now to have a look at the planners in your information kits. You will see that there are 3, 1 term planner, 1 weekly planner, and 1 daily planner. The term planner is to help you get an overview of everything that you will need to do for the term. The weekly planner is to help you week by week, and the daily planner will help you with the really detailed planning. Before we go any further, I would like you to make a note in your daily planner right now. I want you to picture how you could make a major difference in your life by spending just 1 hour a day on some activities for the next term. Background reading, for example, or preparing a bibliography. Now imagine the benefit at the end of the term. The term diary and the weekly diary are the most important ones. However, a week is really the shortest time you have to establish an overview of your time for planning purposes. Now you need to set priorities for the term. Work out how you could achieve those priorities and the results that you desire. If you can get into the habit of planning like this, you'll soon find that you've actually had more time than before to spend on relaxation and other activities that you enjoy. Now let's share some of the ideas that you've come up with. I'll divide you up into groups to share your ideas. OK.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your